Good morning, and thank you sincerely for tuning in to this edition of podcast that is Richard's Rant. As you know, the morning is the best part of the day before anything has gone wrong. And regardless of what is going on in your day, that is the sentiment that I always try to wish you, that energy. I am coming to you from a very uncomfortable place. I have openly discussed the evolution of this rant with you, and it is still evolving. Well, obviously. And this is the first one that I am doing 100% not scripted. This would be my views on vaccination in terms of COVID. Because podcasts aside, this is a fucking mess. And there's no other fucking adjectives that could be used. This is a fucking mess. And for me personally, I thought that I was living my nightmare before, and I was okay with it. I was proud of it. I actually said, oh, I realize I am living my nightmare. So I've conquered it. And it's not that bad. And I sometimes tend to have a narcissistic quality that I keep around because it amuses me. I don't actually play into it. But sometimes it really does feel as though what I say I create. But that has been proven time and time again to not be true. Otherwise, I would not be living my nightmare. As wonderful as it is here with you, I would not be here if everything I said was true. Just by that virtue alone. But most importantly is that no, many things, but a narcissist is not one of them. And I dare say unfortunately because them bitches just look like they're having a real good time. So for me, I can't help but feel as though a couple months ago I said I'm living my nightmare and it's perfectly fine. And it's like something heard me and said, alright, let's make it fucking worse. And it has. I mean, well done, whatever entity it is. I don't think it really has to do with me, although it feels like that because it is my life, but it's affecting all of us. And like I said, this is the first 100% unscripted. I really do not know where it would go, and although I'm speaking with you, you're not here with me to guide the conversation along. I am determined not to pause the recording, although I know that long pauses and stuff would most likely be removed in production, and I'm determined not to edit out anything that I say because I believe you deserve that authenticity. The reality is that something occurred over 2 years ago. People got sick, people could not breathe, people died, people panicked. As time went on, we were able to gather information. We were able to receive a hell of a lot of information. And then we were overloaded and bombarded with more information. When I was born, there was one television station, TTT. Not this fuckery that exists now. And I'll tell you why it's fuckery. When you have a limited liability company, when you see LTD at the end of a company, it means limited liability. It means that that company exists as a living entity in the eyes of the law. Whatever issues you have, whatever wrong that company has done you, is only alive when that company is alive. CNMG did so much fuckery, and they had so many court cases We were told that we were bringing back TTT, but what they actually did was murder CNMG, and with it, all of the liability and court cases that they could. Now, I am 100% certain that if there was any loophole or any continuity into TTT, that the persons that are taking them to court that have the good lawyers would have exploited it. But the fact remains that that is the oldest trick in the book. You kill the company, you don't need to kill the directors. You literally kill the company, same fucking directors, same everything. You speak to the bank, they open a new bank account, they change the name on the bank account, and all of the fuckery that you did is gone. This is something that is open to all of us. And if it is you, us, we are able to stand up and know our worth, do you know that you could also be your own limited liability company? So instead of Joe Johnson seeking employment, it could literally be Joe Johnson Limited seeking employment. Joe Johnson Limited does not pay NIS. Joe Johnson Limited does not pay health surcharge. Joe Johnson Limited does not pay as you earn. And that is something that is almost standard procedure among the rich. You hire in Joe, but Joe and he mother have a company, or Joe and he girl, or he outside woman, and all of a sudden that is the director and it limited. And what I say that you paying me, the government cannot touch until I do my income tax. And when I do my income tax, it has to do with the profits on the company. And if I say that the profits of the company went all out into paying whoever, I pay no tax. But you all don't know that, because we are not taught that. Some of it doesn't even make sense. If it is you try to do it, just like slaves on a plantation, because we do have a colonial history, the other slaves will pull you down. The slaves in HR, they would report, they would have an issue, but it's perfectly legal to do. And more importantly, what they can legally do is, of course, refuse to work with you. Just like you could refuse to work with any vendor or any person or whatever have you. But if they do, you could get into there. You could fuck up whatever the hell you want, and then kill the company and kill your liability. Do you really think that they deliberately want all of us having that power of knowledge? And that exists. Many of us listening to this podcast did business. O levels, A levels, probably even a master's or degree or bachelor's or an associate's. And how many knew that or were taught that? How many of you hearing this is doubting it? But it's a fact. And that example, because things like that exist in the world right in front of our eyes, is why my nightmare is now amplified. Because I can see it, but I can't make you see it. It's like arguing with a friend, or let's say a friend, and you can clearly see that they are making mistakes, but they don't listen. It could be a project, it could be an endeavor, it could be a relationship, but they don't listen. When I was in the supermarket on Emancipation Day holiday, so Sunday, or was it Saturday? Did I go Saturday? I think, no, I went Saturday. So Emancipation Eve. I heard two employees. I heard many employees, because I just hear and see everything. Whatever I try not to, I fail. So I accept. There were a group of employees from the supermarket that I went to, and they were congregating in a corner of Grand Bazaar Mall, and well, then it's best to say the grocery. but I'm not going to say the grocery for plausible deniability. And I'd have other groceries in the area. So I listened to them talking, because they was talking loud. They were talking shit. Didn't make sense to me. So I trump it up as young people nonsense, because I'm crossing over, starting the uphill climb to 40. And one of the slaves said, "Oh, they out here too long, I go in and tell," and they call whatever massa name is. And the other slave that was talking the loudest, so the kunta out of the kentis, was explaining that if it is she says that, they will make massa aware that sometimes she does be all in the bamboo, and they want to know if it does have trolleys to bring back to the grocery all in the bamboo. And they laugh. But all skin teeth is not skin teeth. All friend is not friend. That was one. And then when I went into the grocery, one of the employees was clearly trying to hide behind the Pelori mix. Not entirely sure why. It looked ridiculous to me, that's why I remember. And another employee found her. So maybe they were playing hide and seek. I have done worse things to pass the time. Boy, Girl, Animal Plaything TV show Total. So maybe that was the game that they discreetly play in the grocery. And she asked where one of the other slaves were, if they were removed from the plantation by Massa. And the girl said, no, just temporary, suspended. So she would have been whipped or otherwise disciplined. And the girl said, well, she should be glad that they didn't fire she. And the other one said, you see me, girl, I done talk with them, yes, because them so they don't listen. They don't listen. I said, right. But when it is the 1%ers said that we control everything, did any of the other 1%ers actually come out publicly and condemn the statement? Or did they just, some of them, apologize? When it is you have certain people fighting within themselves, and then somebody else comes to that group of people, the ones that does particularly fight over land, is the outsider able to attack any one person in that clan? But certain groups of people, not necessarily of a particular ethnic group, but definitely of a particular mental capacity, which I will call, a trailed off. I can determine if to call it ghetto or niggery. Niggery sounds better because it would have completed the rhyme, but I prefer ghetto. That is more pertinent at this time, because I don't want it confused with a particular ethnic group at all. It is a culture, it is a mindset above all. Humans have a capacity to protect, to want, to desire, to love, to fear, to have emotions. And that leads to wanting to have some sort of ownership over resources. But at which point is it really enough? And what is this insatiable appetite that we have really capable of? A company, we are taught, purpose is to serve its customers. So how does that become getting as much customers as possible and saying the right things to manipulate into keeping customers? Why are there no regulations to the amount of customers any one company could have? Or regulations to sales agents or sales reps or resources to particular amount of customers? So for example, the Mute and them Devil franchise, that would always be ignored from here on out, so their name would not be mentioned. Actually, it would be, because you all may forget that is Prestige Holdings. That includes KFC, Subway, and TGI, or Jack's, or whatever they're calling themselves now. There's no limit to how much chickens they could slaughter, how much boxes they could sell. Yet still they have a specific amount of staff. to do all of this work. The banks, there's no limit to how much customers they could have, how much accounts they could open. But yet still, every single God make a day, they get in new customers. But the employees not getting a raise of pay. The capacity for tellers or CSRs or telephone operators or managers or supervisors doesn't get increased. For every 10 new customers they get, it doesn't get a new bank teller to service them. So they allowed to water down, to thin their service out to nothing while charging everyone the same thing, and that's unregulated. But why the ass should it be regulated? And so us selling a particular amount of doubles, when it finish. But KFC Independence Square insatiable. It do finish. When it finish, you get more. And then these same people want to pay the employees with pies, to vaccinate, to operate. You have trotters wanting their employees to get a PCR test that is 50% of the horrible wage that they pay them, or wear a double mask. And to this fuckery, all I ask is if your cunt is vaccinated, shouldn't you be protected against the disease? So why the fuck should you concern yourself with the unvaccinated? But everyone else went to the money, because everyone's care is not about humanity. That is why it is to defend the cause you go to the money. So it is, I hope they're having the customers get vaccinated too. And this is why it is, I am saying, at the end of the day, the state of affairs is entirely up to you. We live in a world in which all of these conspiracy theories could have root, because we cannot trust each other. We need contracts, we need code of conduct, ethics and morals, because we still like slaves on a plantation fucking up each other. All the slaves will unite, but all the masters are. So which one do you want to be? When will you graduate? We live in a world where to get the information on syphilis, there was a legit 100% non-conspiracy theory acknowledged by the US government. Speech is on YouTube by Bill Clinton if you do not believe. Bamboozled families for decades. They were told that because of your agrarian lifestyle and because we value you, but you know that you do not have the capacity to afford health care, we are going to give you free health care. That is what they were told. That is what their families were told. That is what they were told to their face over and over and over and over for 30 fucking years. You don't believe me? Google it. Look it up. And look it up again. And then turn it over and look at it again. It is there. And this is 100% unscripted. I can't remember the name of it. I can't even remember the year. But I guarantee you, it is there. So how is it that I could put my head on a block that you're not lying to me or selling me a pot of crack for some other experiment, albeit maybe to see the full effect of a placebo? Maybe none of this shit real. Maybe it's water inside of the vaccine. Maybe it's to see how we will panic when faced with crisis beyond ISIS. Maybe it have a comet coming and my mother can't. Maybe that is what Elon and Bezos really working on, because they could see these things. I mean, they send telescopes out decades ago that's sending information back. Maybe they see something and coming on a trajectory. They must have a 10 years or something. I mean, you did watch 2012, the movie. So it's not that inconceivable as to how they would treat we. Maybe it's to see how we will behave so that they could plan better. Maybe they were equally fascinated because it was never real, and that just make the experiment go on longer. But as ridiculous as those things sound, we live in a world where there is roots that stuff like that can take hold, and that is wrong. And it's my fault, your fault, all of our fault and responsibility to make it better. I can't change you, but it will start with me. You are supposed to be able to hear something and know, but I should, but you don't know. 30 years you watch these people and tell them they was getting free healthcare. How the fuck you will know that they're poisoning you? What grounds you have to think that they're poisoning you? You sign a document, it's written, it is the US government. And don't talk about we in Trinidad. Don't talk about we in Trinidad. How long Watson do you can leave for? And he get promoted while he on leave? But he's the big bantam for employee rights and thieving money from WASA. And when you thief money from WASA, you literally fucking up the water, you know, the baseline for our survival. You could live without food for weeks, but not water. And that is where you fucking up. For what? How much millions you and your wife need? She didn't even look like she does eat plenty. How much? Now, if it is you was at least Robin Hood in the situation and taking the money and making it better, or making a Watson Duke water treatment plant, or giving water to pour some kind of shit, but that is not what you're doing with it. Nothing in this country does make sense. And everything that's cost, I don't even think they know that sense exists when it is they're doing the budget on costs. When it is you could have ministries throwing parties for $250,000 just to use the budget. What the fuck really going on in people's head? The motivation to use the budget to make sure that you don't get less the next time is fine, but why can't you use the budget to help people in need one time? Why that is not a concept? Why it is you need a Christmas party with fireworks and guests? When your Christmas party could be really nice and lavish, you could still get the best. 100,000 at 200,000, why it need to cost $250,000? You think of how much people you could help with that money. You could put your ad in the papers, you could build a website, you could donate things to a school, all kind of shit you could do. You could change people's lives with that. But all you want to do is make sure you could spend it so you will get more. To do what? To spend it so you could get more. To do what? To spend it so you could get more. To do what? And I supposed to trust you with my life, the one little body, the one little everything. This is the shit that we do. When it floods, the whole of Port of Spain wash away. I live less than 5 kilometers from Port of Spain. I could run to Port of Spain and run back home. By me was dry. And you know it's my theory why? Where I live was built in 1988. Not too long when they were doing proper things, like building the Twin Towers, Gene Pear Complex, well, the National Stadium, Mount Hope Hospital, you know, setting the infrastructure. That's when this was built. All of the tropical storm scares and the tail touchery and the sting of the tail, all the banana trees in my yard was unscaled. I had no idea Port of Spain was washing away if it wasn't for the social media. But what does happen is that some people buy cars and they decided to pave a significant part of the yard. So now when it rains, it does have excess water in the drains. But that's about it. But we did that. It tells me that Tongue and Country was doing what they're supposed to do to prevent all of that. That's why it could rain and flood in Port of Spain, and I ain't know nothing about that. That's why they have earthquakes, and I just be like, oh, you feel that? That's why. But no, everybody want to get closer to the sun, like the fucking Tower of Babylon. So we going up on the mountain. Everybody want to cut away peace. And that's fine, everybody could want to cut away or wherever, but that which part Tongue and Country supposed to come in. But maybe they only coming in when it is they get bribed. And apart from Tongue and Country planning coming in to approve, what about to maintain? After it is the people moving, they could just do what they want. And when they do what they want and they fuck up everything and the water going which part is not supposed to go, and all of these lovely things that happening in St. James, Foreshore, Woodbrook, and for Christ's sake, still in front of City Gate. When it is they just give Junior Sammy $500,000 or more, was it $500,000 US, to build this giant box drain in front of City Gate. Why it is I still see in social media posts of people playing like Spider-Man or a gecko climbing up the dirty stink vagrant wall not to go in the dirty stink canal water. Our actions are leading to these choices. Is this what you want for your children? Is this what you want for you? Is this an appropriate price to pay for your choices, for your vices? Because I get in enough trouble for saying and doing the right thing. So is yours. I doing my part. I have a whole fucking podcast. Are you doing yours? You really want your choices to be the dirty stink drain or the dirty stink wall? But because nobody looking at the bigger picture, nobody credible, nobody have integrity, nobody doing what they're supposed to do, this is our reality. If you could experiment with people for 30 years and the only reason why it was stopped is because the guards changed, because 30 years means that people retire and whatever have you. So new people came in. And when the new people came in, they said, no, this is fucking shit. And you know what happened? They get villainized. Conspiracy theory. Credentials change. They're not credible no more. That is not what's going on right now with Corona. These people gave syphilis to their families, to their wives, to their children. They died. Their children died. Their spouses died. And the study went on. The study only stopped because enough people opened their mouth and decided to do the right thing. Which side would you fall on? And this is the one that I choose to harp on. I've told you before, how do you think we know how much dosage to give a child for medicine? How do you think we know that a child and an adult cannot take the same dose of a medicine? It's because they experiment on children. The only reason why it is we know about the syphilis studies is because they blow the whistle. So you know what that tells me? As a particular part in medicine, the Hippocratic Oath does become for the greater good. A balance of probabilities. And they does make a decision for us. Who do you think line up to knowingly have them experiment on babies? To know the dosages. Because if it is they did, we would know. They would have medals, accolades, they will be a hero. But we don't. So, how do you think they did it? So again, how we know that they're still not doing it now? And you see all this shit with religion, it really needs to stop. The truth of the fact is, when we look at reality, this podcast alone could be described as divinity, depending on how you feel about it. No, that didn't make any sense. Not how you feel about it, how you listen to it, is what I should have said. My voice right now is being practically immortalized, and then it will be duplicated, and then it will be placed on different mediums, and in so doing it would exist everywhere and nowhere at the same time, because it only exists if you hit play and make my day. That's how you're hearing it, but it's still there and you have access to it, because you can't get it if it wasn't there, but it wasn't there until you press play. That's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. That's omnipotent, just like this the good Lord and Savior is. If it is you listening to it on your Bluetooth headset, it means that it coming from whatever device and then being transferred through the air and then going into your ears. And we ain't even going to go into the part that before that it's going to be light through the fiber optics, and then it's going to be a beam going up to space. We ain't even going to go through all the different mediums from server to the Bluetooth device. But in all those cases, it's changing mechanisms. So isn't that spirits, ghosts, things happening that you can't see, that you can't feel, that you can't touch, but you see them move and all this kind of thing? That's the very definition for the supernatural. And something existing in three places and one, and all of us are one. It's all my voice. It's all mine. 3 in 1, I'm infinite in 1. And so are you. With every post, with every picture, with every comment, so are you. And we did that. We made that. But we didn't make us. And we don't know what make us. So whatever make us, if we could do this, could do more. Because we can't make us yet. So that is religion explained in a nutshell. Whether it's Allah, Buddha, your mother, Jesus, that is religion. That is it. When we die, We exist only in the hearts and memories of those that loved or hated us, and now social media. That's with spirit living on. Maybe it'd have any more, something more like Ghosts and Whoopi Goldberg making a pot and somebody singing "Oh my darling, I've hungered for your touch." But until we die, we don't know as much. But the fact is, if we could do this and something do us, then it could do better. And that is all, as far as I concern, you need to know about religion. You see all this fuckery about Martin, Luke, John, Paul, and Peter? All of that just needs to stop, as far as I concern, and stop living in the past. The foundation of all religions is love and respect. You shouldn't be scorning people for who it is with whom they want to have sex, or where it is they want to eat. Well, don't eat pork, and don't eat this, and all kind of fucking shit. If it is you operate with nothing but love, then when you hear that this company going to force the people to put on the double mask and all of that, you wouldn't talk about how they're making the money, you will talk about how they're affecting the employees. Our mindset is wrong. And if our mindset was not wrong and we was using religion for the correct thing and not to talk shit about how the mark of the beast, then we wouldn't have to have these conversations, because everybody's heart will be where it's supposed to be. And furthermore, the mark of the beast is described as coming down to the end of the day, somebody with some charismatic shit, going and be able to tell everybody that they have to take this mark to be able to buy or sell food. Hey, you ever hear about money? You could do any fucking thing without money? The mark of the beast been here, bitch. Get over it. The world ending since it starts and you're dying since you're born. Deal with it. Get over it. And these are the conversations that we need to have. And at the end of the day, if you could tell me that although COVID has such a low rate of mortality, I don't know how it would affect me, or I could carry it and get it to somebody else, and then you turn around and tell me the exact same thing about the vaccine. The vaccine has a very low mortality rate, and we don't know how it would affect you. So go ahead and take it, and you wouldn't be able to transmit it to anybody else. Is it the same words? So why is you forcing a vaccine down my throat for cursing it in any way? Why it is all these countries want to force the people to get vaccinated? What it is we missing? What it is we missing? And when it is it could take you 30 years to figure out asbestos does cause cancer. When it is it could take you all these years to figure out what the genetically modified organisms and the food is doing to us. When it is it could take you the birds of people without fucking arms and legs to figure out that the medicine that you're giving the mothers to prevent morning sickness fucking them up. It's certainly making the pregnancy and the delivery easy. Them babies must be slide out. Do not force anybody in your circle, in your life, to take a vaccine. Especially since this vaccine is not a vaccine. When I get chickenpox, I was immune to chickenpox after. I was all over all my friends with chickenpox. It was a vibe. I feel like Superman. When Paula get the vaccine, she afraid of the unvaccinated give her COVID. That making any fucking sense? Oh good lord, that making any sense? They're not even hiding the fuckery. Is that making any sense? Make that make sense. Subscribe to the vibe and comment towards our betterment. Vibes.